Yo guys, Theo here on Common Sense. Welcome to another episode of Human Beings, the podcast where we're very interested in individuals. Not just what they do today, what they can teach us today, but where they come from, the alchemy that made them who they are today. Today I'm joined by Lelle, my gym bro, I would say. And to me, I know him as a holistic coach, an entrepreneur, a public speaker, a behaviorist is the best English word I found. A sort of retired bodybuilder, absolutely still trains, but maybe not as much to get as big as possible these days. A father, I don't think a husband right now, but he has a girlfriend, that much I know. And before, I'm gonna let Lelle introduce himself, but I guess just how I know you is a bit interesting. We started talking in the gym. I went into this group training classroom where you do your sort of stretching and trigger balling, and I just pulled my shirt off to start posing for the camera, and you commented on my physique, and then we just started talking, and I noticed quickly that, this is a guy that's into the same sort of thing as me, not just the physical, but this more holistic perspective, and I find it really interesting because you're older than me, and so I just see the potential to learn a lot. You have a lot more experience with similar things as me. But so, without further ado, hi, welcome, Lelle.
Thank you, Theo. And I'm really grateful that you gave me more like the opportunity to come to you and be on this podcast. So yeah, and hopefully I can bring something to it also. Hopefully.
Oh yeah, I think so. So I always list just some titles like that, like a coach, entrepreneur. But if you are to describe yourself, what you're up to today, just today, more briefly, and then we're gonna get to your backstory in a bit.
Okay, just today, like you narrow it down to exactly now.
Yeah.
Okay, right now I'm more like into just a couple of things. Usually invested in a lot of different projects, but at the time right now it's mostly just about what we're going to talk about today. It's about coaching, about the holistic view, and coaching in a way that more like it will be understandable for common people that are not that familiar with holistic view. Yeah.
Okay, absolutely. So we're going to talk more about what that entails more exactly. But now I'd like to hear what I call your origin story, where you come from. So I always let people speak just how much or little they want, but I describe myself as an alchemist. I like to just see, at least on some level, like where did it start, what did it look like, and what did the path to today look like. So, you know, anything, your family situation, significant events, happenings, or just circumstances that you feel shaped you into who you are today.
Okay. I have to start by asking, like, how long do we have, really?
No, that's the thing. I'm sure my impression is that you have quite a story to tell. Yeah. So, you know, just start, and then we'll see where it goes.
Usually I say that it's easier really to more like say what I haven't done than to more like talk about what I've done. So I'm gonna also narrow it down to more like the most important things that you say.
Sure.
Okay. So, but to start, I'm 61, turning 62. I live in Stockholm city in Sweden. I have been an entrepreneur for almost all my life, I think. Feels like that. I haven't had a job since 1987 or something like that. Were you even born then?
No, that was 5 years before I was born.
Okay. So, besides that, now living in Stockholm, also having my kids here. They're also living here. When you say kids, then they're 30 and 25 and 19. Maybe it's a bit strange, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they are your literal children, so...
Yeah, it is. Now, the last one is from my fiancée. So, yeah, I'm not married, not girlfriend, fiancée. So. But besides that, it's a long story, really. So I have to more like get to...
So if we say start with like just where were you like born and what was your family situation growing up?
Yeah, my family, I was born in north of Sweden. I was born, at least what we say in the north of Sweden, but when you talk to people who comes from the real north, they say that's not the north. Okay, so Without more like going into detail about that, north of Sweden, Umeå, it's a wonderful city in the north of Sweden, beautiful, lovely. I love it in every way. And I was born and raised there, had a different upbringing, different way. Now, there's a lot of things happening. So I think I'll go into that a bit to make it understandable for people. Yeah. So the thing, I grew up in Umeå, in more like an area that was, at that time, it was not that fancy at that time, especially the area where I came from. It was more like people who, not directly were poor, but people didn't have it enough. Like, so I should not pinpoint what place it is, but I think people from Umeå will know what I'm talking about. I grew up there. I had a more like strange feeling about not being as other kids. Could not really point the finger of what it was, because I was trying really hard to be one of the others. Didn't succeed very well, and unfortunately my mother didn't really help. She had good intentions, but she didn't take me to the football that everyone in Sweden, everyone plays either football or they play hockey. It's like, when you're a kid, you should do that. But my mother didn't understand that, and she thought like, no, my son, he's going to do the things that he wanted to do. So I started playing music. That's okay, but playing the clarinet when you are like 7, it's not that popular really among the other kids. And also she took me to learn how to ride horses. And I discovered like I was the only guy really. That were like just girls and me. And to make things worse, she took me also to learn how to dance. So I grew up like dancing, riding, and playing music. It's a bit different for you understand. When you're a guy in Sweden, you should play hockey or football.
I think it's probably like more, I don't know, socially acceptable these days, but maybe not as much back then.
No, it was not. It was not. So that was more like the tough part, and it was also a hard environment to grow up in. I mean, today we say that things are hard, like we have those gangs in the suburbs and things like that, and we had that already done, but we didn't kill each other. So it was no shooting, but of course it was violent. Of course it was fighting. It was not that nice environment to be within. Like you were scared a lot of times, especially when you were alone, because you didn't have your backup with you. So yeah, it was tough. And I started with that more like when I was 7. So.
Okay, and so just your dad, was he part of the picture, or?
No, my dad had been travel salesman for all his life, so he was around like every 14th day during weekend, and then he went off again. And during that time, he also, to be honest, he drank a lot during the time when he was home. So it was like we had to more like respect that he needed to have his time. So that's like, yeah, it's a little bit hard. I usually say that also one important thing is that there was a lot of physical violence within the family, so and that has affected me quite much.
Of course. But so how was school for you?
School was something that was, I loved it. It was easy. So I never had any problems with school. So that's the thing like who more like saved me from more like turning into something really bad. That was that. I had quite easy for me when it's regarding school and different subjects. So almost everyone. So that's a good thing. I loved school. But when it came to more like, we moved, then like 9 years old, we moved out 30 kilometers outside of Umeå in a small village. Didn't really fit in. I came from more like the city. I didn't look like the other kid. Everyone was like straight looking. They wore the same clothes and everything. I wore different clothes. I had long hair. I was just different. So everyone like wonder like who is that guy, because he looks different, he talks different, he behaves different. So it was a rough start to getting more like friends getting in there also. So and as a kid, then at the age of 9, I mean, you really want to be a part of the other. You want to belong to the others. So being outside, it was tough. Meaning that what happens when you end up in those situations, you turn to those who also have problems with more like getting someone to accept them. So you turn to the tough gang. That's one.
I see. And so, well, I guess because you have quite a long story, I'm sure. But so when if we talk about, there are two things, kind of.
Yeah.
First of all, I myself have this such a clear before and after in my life with these panic attacks that I told you about today in the gym. But I see that there's usually some kind of turning point in a person's life. So I'm interested in that. If you had like a moment or a time, it's not always this like I have such a like shocking thing that just threw everything upside down. It's not always like that, but I often see this kind of that you have difficulty with certain things, but then something made things turn around. And I guess like how did you start to get into the kind of work you're doing today?
This is really because I have those like you more like took me into that side. You asked about school, the subjects there, and the thing for me, I have two ways. I was, at one side, I was belonging to the more like the hard group, the tough group, doing all the wrong things. At the same time, I had quite easy for me in school. So I also had good grades. I was a vice president of the student council and things like that. So it was like no one could understand why suddenly appears 2 policemen walking into the classroom and lifting me outside. Because how come? I mean, he's a good guy, or isn't he a good guy? So that's really the first turning point, because I never thought that would happen even. That was really tough. I've never seen it before, and I'm like, shit, it's me. Then it's a bit of a reality check, so, I mean, that's really when you wake up that something happened from the reality, because the way to end up there, it goes by small step, and you just lose more like the control over what I'm doing, if it's wrong or something like that. So I mean, when it comes, first reality check was that moment. And then also my parents, I think they acted quite good at that time, because they more like gave me the choice. I had music, and I had other things. So they said, you have 2 different kind of friends. You don't even get the choice here. You're going to be with those friends. So they more like they would not accept the bad friends. They just said, stay with the good friends, and that's it. And that helped me a lot, really a lot. Even though, I mean, you don't change completely just because your parents tell you so. But it was the first time, and then things move on. More like continue both of my life. But more like being a little bit careful about the other part. And I did a lot of things. This is a hard thing, because I did a lot of things. The turning point there was this thing with more like the police walking into the classroom. The second thing then after, it was more like, I think you have to take with you this. I have this more like need to find. I have a curiosity that's quite extreme. I need to find out how things work together. I need to get an organize a system for everything. And even when it comes to more like how do we work as humans and things like that, to understand, because I had problem understanding other people from the beginning. So I need to figure this out. So I've always been interested in people, and this has helped me a lot. And this is really why I ended up with this. And the good thing, because when I turned completely, when I turned more like leaving the wrong path, when I turned from that, I was at the age of 21. So, and that choice, it was also like a quite extreme event. Afterwards, it was in my work. I was working as a bouncer at more in the place in Umeå in the north of Sweden. It was a quite popular place, and I overacted. More like I did too much in a fighting situation, and afterwards, I had nightmares for 14 days that it was going too far. I mean, I couldn't stop myself in the nightmares. I couldn't stop myself, and ended up killing the guy. So that was really a life changer, because what happened then was that I decided never again, never ever. I was 21 and decided never ever I will lift my hand. Never ever I will hit someone. I don't need to hit people, and that was the last time I ever hit a person. I've been working as a bouncer. After that, I worked 10 more years as a bouncer. And I've also been working with kids with criminal behavior, extreme physical violence, where they are using that. And they have also exposed me for it. But I've never, ever more like laid a hand on them with more like hitting. I've been hugging them, of course, but that's a completely different thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But what I discovered was like, okay, I can make a choice. I can make a choice to completely stop one behavior and choose a new one. And that woke me up really. Wow, if I can do it, other people can do it too.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that was a life changer.
So two things, just kind of in a different way, but I also had these like two, which is almost circles I was in. And I ended up going to like really, really nice schools later on, like Adolf Fredriks musikklasser, Kungsholmens gymnasium, you know.
Yeah.
And though, in lack of a better word, I'd say it's just nice schools. Like there's no, very little like physical altercations in school, and people are generally nice in that way, you know, and kind of clean in a sense. Of course, people would party and drink and stuff, but you know, there's no criminal behaviors like that. But from some people from my past, like I knew from like being really little, and people that I got to know through some people that I still was in touch with, though those went a kind of a different path, with like drugs and being criminals and that. But the funny thing is that in that circle, I was like the mild guy, you know, the most chill out of those. But it made it so in the other circle, I was kind of, the wild and crazy guy like that. But that's very interesting what you say, that you had a realization, you did something, you were not happy about it, have nightmares haunting you even, and you decide to do something differently. And you see that you could, and that's like, because that's one of those moments, what else can I change? And also that means other people can change.
Exactly.
And that's a sort of wake up I had after the panic attacks too, when I had to face some things and just completely transformed in the process and realized that, so I wasn't just this. It's not like, this is just who I am. It's like, no, this is how I functioned up until right now. And now clearly I function in a completely different way. What else can I change? And I need to spread this to other people. So I can relate to many things there.
Yeah, I think I know that I'm definitely not the only one that more like discovered this, that it is possible. And the problem comes when we more like generalize them that, it's possible for me, and then anyone can do it. Not necessarily. So it's like, we are different as people. But it woke me up in a way that, meaning I could more like start controlling my life. And then I more like, I took that choice and that change and started multiplying it, doing it in different ways. So it's starting a process within myself. I mean, it's 40 years ago, so it's quite a long time ago.
Yeah. So you realize this, and what happens then? You know, like how did you move forward, and when do you actually start like working with this more directly and with the other people? I mean.
Okay. I can say that also quite 91. 91, I more like woke up the next time, because I was from that event. I studied. Yes, I tried to study economy at the university. Was not my thing. At the same time, I always been doing a lot of things. That's why I started like I did that. Like, okay, are we narrowing it down to this? Because I studied at Umeå University and economics, and at the same time I was working as a bouncer. I was also working at I was responsible for the staff in the restaurant, the nightclub, salaries, everything. At the same time, I was also more like preparing for competition in bodybuilding. So I was also going to gym 2 times per day.
Oh yeah,
I was
you
on a
started
diet
training
and,
quite early also, right?
I started what?
You started training like that quite early, I think.
Age of 14.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
And we'll see how much we get into that, because I think we have lots of other interesting things to discuss, but I know you've competed even in bodybuilding. So if you mention it now, more as a side note, that's fine. But maybe we'll get into, if we have the time, we'll see more what that's like, you know.
Yeah, we can take that later. But the thing is that doing a lot of things, ending up, of course, it's almost not human to be able to do everything in that level, study full time, going competing. No. So anyway, ended up in hospital, have a minor, what's called, brain bleeding? No, it's
well, that's a literal translation,
So ended up having problems with walking, a lot of things like that. So yeah, long rehab period, and then I was back in, and then like full speed ahead again. Yeah. So that's been me for my whole life. I've been doing like everything in full speed. I think that one important thing to more like understand me is that before, when I was 19, I made a big decision that was also life-changing, because a lot of people don't really see it as possible. I mean, they've been writing books about it, they've been doing movies about it, but when I was 19, I decided to, I'm going to move to Stockholm, and I'm going to live fully, I'm going to live totally. So I would say yes to everything. It would mean like, whatever someone offers me, I will say yes. And then afterwards I will more like reflect on, was this a good choice or not? I brought with me a little bit of more like moral or ethics, that, okay, there were some things that were forbidden, but almost everything. And that has really led my life to a lot of experience. It has taken me to crazy things, and it has taken me to wonderful things. So, but if you wonder about how can you have done all those things, it was because I was into something, and then someone came with a question, and I say, okay, I do it, and I have to leave that, go to the next one. So in a couple of years, I did almost everything.
Nice. You know, I was very much, I'm more like that now, you know.
Yeah.
But I think I was just too scared and traumatized from life, honestly. The safe option, you know. So like, whatever works, whatever just keeps the ball rolling a little bit, you know. But I would probably said no to most opportunities. I was too scared for things.
Yeah, and I just more like, when the years went, I tried to more like control that. Okay, I will have a plan instead. I can't go on everything just without a plan.
No, we talk about balance a lot.
Yeah.
That of course, it's good to be open, you know, willing to try new things, but you got to have some kind of structure that you follow. Also, if you want some kind of specific outcome, at least you cannot just go around doing whatever all the time.
No, and you will never ever be really good at something, because I mean, you start something and you begin to more like, no, and then you see like, okay, I will be able to reach that level, and then something else turns up, and then you go for that. So maybe someone now realized that maybe I have a diagnosis. I'll come into that later.
Yeah, no, but one thing about doing that, I think that's kind of what I recommend when some guys are like, you know, oh, I don't really know what to do. I've tried doing this, and this, but I feel lost or something. I don't feel that sense of purpose. Like, how do I find my purpose? And the thing is that a thing like that, if it isn't like calling you clearly, you kind of have to fumble in the dark a bit, just try things and learn things about yourself. Like, oh, it turns out I'm good at this, or I like this more than I thought, you know. And when you just have more experiences, you're gonna find your way that way. So even if you don't, if you don't know where to go in your life, go somewhere, you know,
Exactly.
and you'll find something eventually.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good advice, really. Like, if you don't know where to go, like you
Don't just sit still on your
No,
ass,
exactly.
pretty much. Yeah.
Every day do something. It doesn't matter what you do as long as you do something. Yeah.
Completely. But yeah, you mentioned diagnosis, so I was going to ask about that. So yeah, fill me in.
Okay.
I had the ADHD diploma myself.
Ah, you have that. We share that part, okay. And I have that and also autism. So, I mean, that spectra, yeah, a couple of years ago, it was in the same spectra, but okay. The thing is, I got more like the diagnosis quite recently. I got it, it's like 3 years ago. So I always suspected that maybe I had something, but I couldn't figure it out. But it turned out like, and that was quite more like far ahead in my life when I started one of my institutions for young kids with ADHD, autism, Asperger's, as we told them, and they had that combined with drug addiction. So I started one institution for rehabilitation for them, and I realized, oh, I have so much in common with those guys. And I found out also I was really good at it. And now I understand why, because, yeah, I shared more like the same personality type as them. Yeah.
And so, what do those diagnoses, like, kind of, what do they mean to you? Like, in general, but also about you. Like, what did it explain to you, so to say?
It's more like it clarifies a lot. It clarifies that why some things are really hard to learn and to handle. So it gives explanation for those things, and that's really nice to get them. Okay, now I understand why I've been struggling with those things for a long time. And also the opposite, that now I realize why I have so easy for some things. Like I can also understand why have I been so frustrated with people in my environment that they don't understand, they don't see things the way I see it. I mean, a lot of times I've been struggling to more like understand my surrounding. One time, for one period, I thought that I was crazy. Another period, I thought like everyone was stupid.
Yeah.
So because it does not always more like it doesn't in the interaction between those different worlds, how we more like the perception of our world. We need to see it and we need to understand it from our perspective, but then after a while you need to see that, okay, I have to more like change the perspective and view it from another person from a perspective I'm not familiar with. And this is really hard. I mean, most people can't even do it, even if you're grown up. But so now we're rushing ahead. The question was more like, it's an advantage to more like get, I think the diagnosis, if you get it, it's an advantage to get it because you understand yourself better. But you should never ever use it as an excuse for more like, but this is because I have ADHD or this because, no, never.
My ADHD. Yeah, well, it's because of my ADHD. Yeah. No, it's interesting because I have mixed feelings about this with the diagnosis. On one level, I understand that when you have a big society, it's like it's an attempt to categorize certain kinds of people. But I would almost like it better if everyone did some kind of huge personality test, and you're not put in this box, you know, like, okay, you have ADHD, because you're going to be put there with a lot of people that don't necessarily are exactly the same as you, you know. So it's both that you can be a little bit put in a box, and I would like it if you could just have certain scores on certain traits, in a sense. But also, for me, I got it when I was 14. I was very troubled. Like, I had, like you, an easy time in school, but I felt I had a tough home environment, and I struggled with school in other ways that I just didn't like it there. I didn't want to be there and cut class and stuff. And I go and do this evaluation, and I get, you have ADHD. But in a sense, it feels like you're being told about what's wrong with you. Not like you're different. It's like this is the disease you have almost. And then it's like talk about medication and stuff to kind of shoehorn you into fitting into something that was never meant for you, you know.
Yeah.
So I understand that for some people it's like, well, this answers some things for me, you know. But for me, I felt like, well, I already know I'm different. I've known that my entire life since I was little. I noticed that, okay, I'm much better at some things that the other kids struggle with. And then I have these other things that are a lot more difficult for me, you know. So I don't know exactly how, I see that it depends on the person. And like, for you, I see that it's just like, it confirms some things, it clarifies some things that you said.
But I think it can do that, but it depends on also the person, more like the professional person that explains this to you. What does it mean? Like, because like you said, even if you have ADHD, it's so many things that differ you from the other people also that have ADHD, because you have different traits on other sides, so you can relate on them, that you have some things together, and that's a nice thing. Yeah, you can connect with them on that level, but it doesn't mean that you are the same. So by how you more present the diagnosis, because the diagnosis is so much more than just ADHD or autism. For me, it's more like, I got to explain that when you did this testing, there was one thing that more like pinpointed you out, and that was really when you remember going through those pictures, and you should more like see patterns, and you see like what was more like similar, and what things should not be there, and everything like. And the psychologist explained that the difference between you and most people, that you do it under 1 second, have every answer, you have everything right.
Yeah, you see the pattern.
Yeah, I see the pattern directly. And I said, so aren't you supposed to do it like at that time? And I said, no, most people take 20, 30 seconds to more like figure it out. It's like, okay. And that explains it. And then when she gave it back to me, she said, this is more like your really strong side, that you can see the patterns quickly. And for you, it's logical, everything. And for other people, they struggle with it. So use that, more like that ability that you get. And that helped me a lot, because now I understood why I think that people are stupid sometimes.
Yeah.
They are not stupid. It's just that I see the patterns long before them.
I mean, that depends on what you mean by stupid.
We have different, like I don't know if we're going to talk about different intelligence and things like that, but I mean, people are different. I don't put a value on it. So yeah.
No, not me neither. But I think it's like I'm over it now, but I always felt like, why was I made to feel that what's really also part of my biggest strengths, you know, like it's something that's wrong with me, you know? Because what I've also found is that when you differ from the norm in this way, it's like, you're the one that's more different than most people, but it ends up being you understand these people a lot better than the other way around, you know, because you've had to notice like, clearly they don't work like this, I work like that, I wonder why, and you figure it out, while they have not really ever had to question themselves and other people like that. So the way I actually see it is, in lack of a better term, I see these diagnoses almost as a sort of leadership quality. That you end up being the guy that's like, okay, I'm a bit different, but I get all of it. Okay, you're that kind of person, and you're that kind of person, you know. You got the person with the overview of people like that. And that's why I think people like us often end up as some kind of teacher or coach when we find our way like that.
Yeah, I think so too. It's like, or especially, I mean, people in general think like, if you have autism, you're not interested in other people. I don't think that at all. Like
not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Like my brother is diagnosed with autism. Yeah. He's quite autistic, but he's also a bit lower on the intelligence, just IQ spectrum. But he is definitely super social. He loves being around people, you know.
Yeah. So it's nothing that you have to more like dislike people. That's one of the traits. Now, it's not always. So for me, it's like the combination of being more like having those abilities to see things, to understand things, to putting things together in a way that, okay, I do generalize things from my perspective, and then I can meet people because I often have right. That's a good thing, because I want all the facts in, and I put it to pattern, and usually I'm quite good at more like judging what type of people it is. The thing that you don't like, that more like putting them in a box, but it helps for me. It helps.
Yeah, but it's one thing if you have sort of your boxes, you know, but when you are just put in a box, it's a different thing, you know.
I know, but it helps. But then the other thing that for me was also life changing, because when I discovered that, okay, I should do this thing, I didn't really discover it myself. It was more like a thing that happened during, it was growing without me knowing. When I was working as a bouncer, in the end, I had quite many girls coming more like have been in bad situations, and they were sad, they were crying, they didn't know who to call, and like you have to, if you're a bouncer, you have to also work as a social worker. Yeah. And then more like, what can you do? You can't leave the restaurant where you're working, so yeah. And then in the end, you can just call the cops, and then they take over, and then they drive the person home. And maybe that was not maybe the best idea, but that's their job. They can't be a psychologist. They don't have the time for that. So, and I felt that every time I felt, shit, I would like to do more. I don't want to more like just leave it to someone else. I would like to more like help the person who ends up in this situation. So that led to the next thing and next thing and next thing. And yeah, 91, we had a crash. Financial crash in Sweden.
Right before I was born.
Right, okay. Still not born, okay. It's totally history. Anyway, so of course I was more like affected by it, and the thing that I had a good situation. I had this more like a sales company, and I was in the more like real estate business. So yeah, I was fine. I was doing fine. And then financial crash came, and like the interest rate went up to 200% and things like that. So we totally crashed. Straight line, boom. Lost all of my customers and everything in a couple of months, going from more like being financially independent to having zero pound in 3 months. Yeah, it was tough. So that situation started the process why I chose to go over and just work with kids, because it was more like my wife, she told me like, why don't you work with kids? I mean, we have all the kids from the village in our house anyway. You're helping them for free. You don't know that, but you're doing that. Like, I mean, you're 30 years old and you have all the 17, 18, 19-year-old kids from the village that they hang around there. And when they feel good, they disappear. And then they come back like 3-4 months later because they have new problems. And then where do you go? They go to you. Yeah, you're right, okay. And then my best friend also, he called me up and said, I know what you're going to do. You should work with kids. So that's really what changed everything with me. So that was the first step. Okay, I realized, shit. Okay, I go down to my friend and I work with kids down because he had this institution, and I felt like, yeah, this is really my thing. I have to study. So then I started studying again, and I started studying sociology, psychology, yeah. So that's what's really my way into that. So
I see.
That's why it's 30 years ago now.
Yeah,
31.
Cool. That brings us to kind of the next point I wanted to talk about. That I guess you work mostly with kids or younger people, it sounds like. But one thing that you mentioned, one of the first things that made me like, this guy is like me, kind of, is this, that people are starting to realize sort of the importance of physical training, but still there's not as much talk about mental training. And the more trendy word for this now is mindset. You know, it's funny because I never used that word myself, but then from the input I got from putting out my videos, and I was like, how did you get that mindset? I'm like, okay, I guess that's what I'm good at. I noticed that people, it's not just what I think, but how I think, they're interested in. And so since this is something you put a lot of importance on, like kind of mental training to you, what is that, and how does one work on the mind or the mindset?
Yeah. Okay, so then we had to jump more like a couple of years. I started quite early, and the thing, I think I have to more like tell that part, because
Sure.
to understand this, when I more had studied for a while, I thought like, okay, I can start having like a foster home at home, and then we go from that, start an institution, and then next. But from the beginning, I thought, okay, if I'm gonna get kids to work with, how can I do that? How can I more like get municipalities to accept me as social service, like to accept me at the Vicious standard? When I say kids, I mean like young,
like youth.
Youth, yeah. I mean, it's like I'm talking about my kids. They are 35, not 30. So, but what happened that I felt like, okay, there is a group of kids that no one wants to more like handle. There is a group that they have given up on, and I felt like, why not? I mean, I'm used to being in quite severe violence and everything. So I had a lot of things I'm not told about.
Oh, sure.
So it's a lot. So for me, it was not that scary. So I started with working with the kids that more like were rejected from coming to the locked institutions that no one would like to work with. That was the kids that I chose. Okay, I'll start with them, because I know that it's just that they need someone who more like can feel safe enough, be there for them, and then also accept them for who they are and not for the behavior. So I'm distinguishing like the soft person and more like the armor that you wear in form of your behavior, your attitudes and things like that. So I had no problem with it. And getting also good, it worked quite good. But the thing that when I came into my curiosity made me understand that I have to do things differently. I have to more like see how can I do it, because they have been to 16, 18, 20 different institutions before they come to me. So what am I going to do that is so different that I'm going to solve that no one else has solved before? That's the thing. So that's why I'm more like starting understanding. I have to understand them. I have to more like walk in their shoes. I have to understand all the anger that they more like are carrying inside, and all the scares, everything. I need to understand how they think. So I have to more like get into the mind, get into the feelings. So my interest came from that, okay, the mind and your memories, how you view things, that affects that's your reality. And if anyone's going to understand your reality, they can't just say, oh, I understand, because they don't if they say it like that. They have to more like mentally and go inside and feel your emotions for a while and understand how you react in different situations in a certain way. So, and I did that. It was quite like changed. And it was quite odd at the time. People thought like, what is he doing? Like, is he serious? He sounds like more he needs to be in an institution himself. but I had good results, and the kids felt like, wow, someone who is listening to me, someone who really understands me. And I was sitting in a meeting, and every meeting I had, the kids were like, can't you explain? Can't you explain? When you say it, it sounds so much better than, I don't know how to explain. But I felt that I could be more like the channel for them to explain to social service and other people. So I got interested in more like understanding other people from the more like the mental, the emotional side, and that's why this interest for mindset and the power that it has also. So it's the next step of my more like evolution. It was those tough kids.
I understand. So I want to just more practically know how you work with mindset. But I want to say what I pick up on and that I think is so important when working, well, with people in general, but especially kids that are troubled like that because I know I was troubled in a different way. Like I have not been violent and stuff, it's just that, I've not done what I'm supposed to do, but I didn't feel good at all during that time. And I never feel like someone is actually like, what's up? Why do you not feel good? And like, how can I help you? Like, I care about you. I see you. I understand you. I would like to help you feel better and everything. You feel so much more like you're here because you're a problem. You know, let's discuss the problem. And the problem, that's you, you know. How do we fix you, sort of? You know, and I think as a kid, you rebel against that. You get just more angry when you feel like you're not seen, you're not heard. And you feel guilty and shame also, probably, because you're going to subconsciously at least think that I am the one at fault here. And when someone is more like, no, there are problems around you. You know, you have problems, but you are not the problem. And I see you and I hear you and I would like to help you. So I think that's the very important difference there. But please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go through, continue.
No. It's like I kind of just want you to take it away more practically with like, how does one work on the mindset?
Yeah. So we're going to more like practical things. Okay. The thing with the mindset is that, for me, it's like historically, I have to take not my history, but the thing that during the 80s, there were a lot of discussion about what started more like, where does something start? Where does some behavior start? Does it start with emotion? Does it start with more like a thought? Endless discussions, because we didn't have the knowledge about what's happening up in the brain. So we were more like, I don't know, I think it's like this. I think it's like this, yeah. The good thing today is that we know. We know like when it's more like a neurological part that the system reacts on something without you being aware of it. Like so we know when those things happen. When it's like more like start with a reaction that leads to emotion, and then you get more like you can work it in the cognitive part. So today we also know like most of your life is more like controlled within your mind, with your awareness, within your thoughts. Meaning that your mind is this is the center. I would like call it is a connection. No, someone's no. It's more like the one who is steering, who is leading everything. So, and the question is like, okay, that's steering, that's me. And that's where you do it wrong. You think that you're in control. Sorry, you're not. Everyone else is in control, but not you. So this is the first thing. Like, you have a resource. Your mind is an incredible resource. If you use it properly, if you train it properly, you can achieve almost anything within your life. If you don't train it, sorry. I mean, it's like, if you don't train your body, what can you achieve when you go into the gym? Almost nothing. Or if you don't run and be asked to run a marathon, you can't do it because you haven't run.
Just a quick, I want you to go on, but a quick one that I want to make people focus on is that even when you train the body, what comes first, you know, to the physical action of training? It happens in your mind first, definitely. Right? And that's why a part of training the mind is also training the body, because you also have to push, you know, when your body and mind says like, this is tough, like, can we just stop? You have to be able to keep going, and that. So I like to bring that part in, that even physical training on some level is also training up here or in here.
It is. So, and that's why it is necessary to have a holistic approach to this. It's essential. So, and that's been more like, we have been developing this whole theory. I mean, holistic approach is something old. I think it was first mentioned in the 50s or something like that, if I'm not wrong. When I say 50s, it's 1950. Yeah. Anyway, the thing with understanding that the mindset, you talk about mindset. I would not say mindset is a part of it, but it's not. I mean, that's something that you put yourself into a mindset. How you're gonna more like approach something, and that can change in different situations. Like, and that's why like more. I would like people to understand the power that everyone carrying in more like by having a mind, and that is not really, it has not been given the opportunities and the possibilities to achieve what it can achieve. So, I mean, you can do things with your life. It's not like, okay, but I've been to school. Yeah, you learn something. It learns to more like memorize things. It learns like to do mathematics, some logical parts and things. But the school is not built on developing the mind to its full extension. It's not. Sorry.
No.
I mean, they're not even talking about it today. Not yet. They don't really understand it completely yet. So I think that hopefully they will understand it before I die. That's my goal in life, that this will be something that is so natural that everyone should more like have a workout program for the mind. Yeah. So, and what can they do? Yeah. I would like
what is the workout program for the mind? That's the question.
Then also, you want to go to like, I can completely agree.
You can get there in whatever way you want, but because working with these things myself, I know that it isn't as simple. Like in the gym, it isn't just like, well, go do that exercise for these many sets and reps. It's not quite as straightforward with this sort of training.
It's not. No.
But I like to, as you do too, make it in the end as practical as possible.
Definitely. That's my intention also. But at the same time, to understand that what you see today, most of the things are maybe not the thing that you need. And this is, people get lost in trying to be experts in things, and they want to more like, they want to get confirmation that they are good. They want to more like, oh wow, this guy, he's so incredible. And why? Because they're coming with something new. Look at all the YouTubers and things like that, that more like they want to present new things and new things and new things. I mean, you can't handle that in your life. You can't do everything. It's not even possible. So what I'm more like trying to teach people is to go back to basic. Yeah, you need to, if you're going to start working out your mind, you need to start with the basic. And if you go a course that someone extraordinary, oh, he has this fantastic thing, skip that. Go back to the basic. So that's what more like, if we talk about the basic, what is the basic thing? The basic thing is more like, you heard it so many times before, the basic thing is to focus, to be able to focus. And you have ADHD, I have ADHD, so it's mean like for us it's very important that we can do it.
It's more like about being able to direct the focus, I think, because the typical thing is that, certain things I will have a very hard time focusing on. Other things, it's the other way. I hyper-focus. I stick in it like right now even. I'm completely focused on you and what you're saying, right?
Yeah. So and you're completely right about directing the focus, and also to be able to focus on something that's really boring. That's like, it's almost impossible. And what do we do when we have more like a mindfulness training? What's the first thing we do? Yeah, we start with breathing. We start with feeling the breath, the breathing, and then we continue with that, and we continue with that, and we continue with that. Like, can't they do something more interesting? No, because it's perfect. I mean, it's perfect because it calms the body. If you breathe, take the deep breath, and more like follow the instructions. Wow, you're going to calm the body. That's a reaction. You don't. I mean, if you want to change your feelings, breathe in a way like that. So we focus on something really boring, and you do it for a long time. And if you can more like focus on that, keeping that focus without this disturbance, and then we come into the next couple of things. But without more like letting anything disturb you, perfect. So then you're going to withhold the focus on something boring. Then you can practice that in your life also. So keeping the focus. And the second part is more like also, what you do is that you take down the body to a relaxed, more like situation where you are relaxed, you are completely focused, Well, what's the meaning of that? The meaning of that is that you can perform afterwards. When you learn to do this, you can perform at your highest level without stress, being calm. So this is like something, it's totally against everything. Because people believe that, oh, it's good for me if I get a little bit stressed because I get more focused then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you have not really trained your mind. And you can do the same thing and even better if you're calm.
Yeah, just about that with stress, I think it's a certain degree of stress in certain situations, right? Like I'll just say, if I pretend that I'm about to have a speech, you know,
Yeah.
probably a little bit of stress, just I'm a little bit sharp and just feeling that like it's go time, you know. But like I told you, I had problems with stage fright. That kind of stress absolutely was not helpful because you're the opposite of mindful then, you know.
Yeah. So it helps you with alertness because stress brings up alertness. So yes, you're completely right. But you also mentioned the other side, that it takes away your calm. It takes away the thing that maybe you would like to present yourself as a trustworthy person in that situation. Instead, they can see that you're stressed.
Yeah, shaking, just saying lines instead of actually expressing something, you know.
Yeah. So I mean, okay, so we more like went into why do we do it? And we start with more like breathing, bringing down, being relaxed in the body and everything, keeping the focus. And that's where it's becoming a little bit hard because you have your more like automatic thoughts and things that comes, you can't control them, you say, but you can. And you're more like, yes, you have to learn that. How can you control the mind to more like bring it into calmness? And it is possible, but it doesn't happen like this. You can't have 10 minutes course with me and then you go from, now I learned a new skill here. No, it doesn't work. But you're going to become better and better and better. And that's more like accepting things and letting go. So you come in with a new technique that you use during this time, that the automatic thoughts that comes, you view them, you accept them, you let them go, and then you go back to breathing again. Your focus go back always to the breathing. By doing this over and over and over again, the automatic thoughts slows down. They become less and less and less and less. So that's one technique that more like brings you into calmness also, calmness in your mind. So, and then you can combine that with the breathing. So whenever you get stressed and you breathe, it signals to the brain what it remembers, and it remembers when you are calm and focused. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's okay.
So what we are doing more like, we're reprogramming you and your mind. It's a bit heavy, really, but it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now I'm explaining it in a way that also it should be explained that this is what you're doing. You reprogram yourself. Okay, so can I reprogram myself in more ways? Yeah, you can do. This is like, you can do a lot of things with your brain or with your mind.
Yeah, you know, about that, I don't remember how you phrased it now, but basically I cannot just tell you to do this and you're like, oh, okay, you know, and you do it. That's why it's training. But I would compare it to, because I've seen it with myself, that when I'm kind of just pushed myself to focus in a certain way more, or think, frame something in a different way, maybe at the start it feels like this is nonsense. I'm just kind of pretending to think a certain way that I don't really think, you know. But what I compare it to is just like with the physical training, certain things you just did not know how to execute. It doesn't matter if someone gives you instructions on the side, you just cannot do it in the right way. But having the intention to go there over and over, you know, you notice little more things, subtle things, you make little adjustments, and suddenly you can just do it. A quick one that comes to mind is with the fasting I've done. Now I actually physically don't get the same sensation for hunger or anything like that. But I really, when I had a tougher time with fasting and I feel like eating, I think about food, I would just tell myself that, no, you're just feeling fasted. You know, this is just what feeling fasted is like. And that what has happened now is that very naturally, if I ever start thinking about eating on a fast, I just have programmed myself to kind of like, oh, well, let's not even go there because it just does not work out well to keep going there, you know.
No.
But it did not happen like this. It happened by having that intention over and over and over.
Yeah, I mean, it's like all the change that you want to do, or if you're more like dreaming about, could my life be different, or things like that. And yeah, everyone's life can be different because whatever you are, like even if you don't change the environment, you can change how you view things. You can change more like, what's happening with it up in your mind. So life can be different. But it will not be different if you don't more like with awareness do what you did. Like you are working with yourself and being aware. I don't want to go there. I don't want to continue more like following those thoughts. And that's one thing that people usually do. They follow the thoughts.
Yeah.
And they follow the feelings.
Instead of being the master of the thoughts, the thoughts master them. Yeah.
So I don't really call it mastermind. But I mean, I would more like call it if you want to master your mind. So that's a little bit different. I don't see myself as a mastermind. I will never reach there. But I would like to master my mind. It's a different. So, and this is a thing that people do workout. I mean, we have a gymnastic in school and everything. We start early and we take how important this is. All the kids should more like, they should go and do work, some sort of gymnastics, some sort of, I don't know. It doesn't matter what they do. Like as long as they move the body. Yeah, good. What about here? Yeah, they get that at school.
Yeah.
No, they don't. So this is, we have to change how we view ourselves as human beings. That's a basic thing where I'm still frustrated that even though we know so much and the science has taken us so far, it seems like we don't push one and one together. Like we have 1 + 1. I don't care. I'm not interested. It's like, shit, why can't people see it? And I'm really happy today that more and more people are talking about this. It's bringing me joy, really.
Yeah, we talked about that. How the way I describe it is that to me, I think some people like myself, because of the modern society, and we're like poisoned from almost every angle in one way or another, like food, plastics, the air, and so on, and just media, and being spanned with so many impressions, that I think we get so affected and live on autopilot so much, and some of us couldn't handle it and just explode and have to kind of discover this, like the mind, that who is actually in charge here, you know. So I see this like this polarity, where there's some people I feel like are even more asleep than ever, but some are starting to wake up to the fact that maybe things weren't exactly the way I thought they were. Maybe I am more in control than I thought.
I mean, there are big difference between if people are aware at all or if they are. So it's like, I completely agree with you. The thing that today, I think people in general say that, I mean, social media affects the kids a lot and that affects the kids a lot. But if you turn the mirror towards them, and how much has it affected you? They haven't really reflected on that. It's like,
that's what I call like unconsciousness or autopilot. Exactly. Yeah.
So I mean, they do have a little bit of knowledge, but they are not really aware of themselves. So this is something that when I pinpoint up more like, what is the thing? What are the things that is necessary for change, to come to change? First of all, you have to be more like receptible. Is that like for
receptive? Yeah.
Receptive for more like for knowledge. If you're not interested, sorry, it will be really hard work. Of course, you can change a person without their permission, and you can change them, but in a way that maybe not that ethical. But take that part, because I think. In the Western society at least, and Asian also, and Africa. I mean, I've been to a lot of different countries and worked in different countries, and they are different, but the awareness is getting more like more and more common in all the parts of the world. So, but the thing is that we need to more like come to this understanding that, okay, we have the knowledge about the body, how it works, that it is a complex system. The human is a complex system, but we have all the knowledge. Okay, how does this affect us? Can we let go of some earlier, more like beliefs that maybe there were explanations that were suitable for another time, but not suitable for today? Mm-hmm. Can we shift that to something that is suitable? Can we take ourselves to the next level? And I mean that we can do it, but of course there's going to be some people that are more like pulling in the brakes. Mm-hmm. But it is possible. And the thing is that we need to be able to let go. And that's the tough part for most people, almost everyone. So it doesn't matter if you have a strong belief system, if you don't have it, it's like something that is not that familiar, unknown. No, I stick to what I know. Mm-hmm. It's more safe, it's more comfortable. And that's really what I learned with working with troubled kids, and also they stick with the old behavior. Mm. They don't change in 1 week or 2 weeks, but eventually they do, with the right guidance.
Yeah, attachment to all things and letting go. I think it's because it's something you have to do over and over in your life. And I think it's one of the biggest challenges for human beings, because to some degree we have to sort of attach to certain things in our life. We have to sort of take some things like this is how it works, this is what things are like now. And every once in a while, it's suddenly or gradually something just has to change, and it's kind of hard to, you want to hold on to what's familiar and safe to you like that. But so you mentioned when we started talking about reprogramming your mind, the first thing is focusing on the breath and kind of slowing down. Yeah. And what I see is kind of practicing the ability to respond instead of reacting to different situations. You don't go with your automatic reaction to something. You're able to slow down, take a breath, and like, okay, how do I go about this now? But you mentioned that this was some kind of first step, and you say that you can reprogram yourself. Yeah. And so that means you can reprogram yourself in other ways. So what other ways can people reprogram themselves in?
I mean, if you let go, if you're prepared to let go of things, who you are today, if you're prepared to more like let go of the things that have formed you to be the person that you are today, that, okay, so if we more like, this is who you are, it doesn't mean that it has to be you tomorrow. If you can wish what kind of person would you like to be, just take that within you, more like feel, and that is more like go into your dreams, what you would like to be, and then you describe it. I will know that most likely the thing that you would like to be is still affected by your history a lot.
Of course.
Yeah. So it's not really what you would like to be, it is expectations of others and things like that. You would like to fulfill them. Mm-hmm. So this is a process also. So if I work with someone, the first goal, the first dream they more like put up, is the first step for them. It's the first step going there. It will not, most likely, will not be the end for them, because it will change. When they start noticing that they can control their life, and they start noticing that I can also choose how I interpret the things that I'm more like experience during the way, then they can also start to change the view of the world. They can change also what they would like to be. So it's more like being open for something new that will, in a process, make you to something different. But you're going to be the person who is more like leading this. Mm-hmm. So I think it's more like, it's a wonderful way to be this. It sees the process. It will not come directly, but it comes step by step. Mm. And what can you change? Yeah, you can change your you talk about distance yourself from how you react, and that's a good thing, because if you realize that your brain works best when it's calm, you have more like complete access to the cognitive force and everything. So, okay, great. So whenever something comes your way that affects you in a way that your emotions start reacting, you know that I should not make my decision right now. I should more like distance myself, take 1 or 2 breaths, and then I was try to view the situation for what's really happening, what is really, and isn't it necessary for me to interact, and if I should interact. And there's a good advice. There's a lot of practical good advice up in YouTube things like, okay, if you take one step back and then you have your best friend more like, and he's the one who is seeing the situation, and he's the one who's going to react. What advice would you give to him? Yeah, it's a really good one.
That's
really
a great one.
Yeah, because you can step back, you can give advice to someone else, and then you realize, oh, that's how I should do it also. Yeah.
You know, it's an interesting thing in general. It's often a good thing to come back to, like, often if you feel bad about yourself somehow, also, like if this was happening to a friend of mine, someone that I care about or love, you know, how would I view it then? And I often see that, I'm a lot harsher on myself than I am on other people. So I think there's many times when it's good. And that's the way I see it, you know, that you have a relationship to yourself just like you have to everyone else. It's just a little bit different that in this one relationship you have like access into the inner world directly. But it's really that you are taking care of and dealing with a person just like you do with others. And for whatever reason, I mean, in many ways we project the way we look at ourselves and feel about ourselves on others, but there are also certain, you know, sometimes we have blind spots and we view ourselves completely differently compared to how we view other people there.
I'm going to turn this off.
Yeah, someone really wants to get a hold of you.
Quite annoying. But you can continue anyway.
Yeah.
I think I can multitask.
Sure. No, but it's more like I'm thinking how I want to, in what order I want to weave things together here. Because I want to get kind of, I guess, image of what it looks like when you work with a person. But some other things, you know, we've talked about people's defense mechanisms. Yeah. I think it can be kind of interesting to talk about just what that actually is and how to dismantle those in a person. But then you also work with people that struggle with different addictions. And I think it's interesting to ask what is an addiction really, more than the obvious thing that, okay, you're dependent on something, often a substance, but it doesn't have to be. And how to overcome addiction. So I guess this way we can weave it together with the mental training, kind of how do you work with people, what kinds of problems do you have, and what tools do you use with them?
Yeah, it's a bit, I will try. Definitely try.
Take it wherever you want to.
It's a bit complex, but
it all is. So
there's a thing like I mentioned it from the beginning that, and I usually come back to it over and over again, that human beings are complex. We have to accept that, realize that, and it's hard to understand everything, to know everything. I mean, even after 30 years, I still see so many things I need to learn. I discover things every day.
But this is also the thing. The more you know, the more you realize how little you actually know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Completely. So, and maybe I'm not the best one more when it comes to theory and things, but in practical work, yes, I have quite good results. So I'm pleased with that.
That's what matters.
Hopefully, yeah. But when it comes to that, it's still that, okay, you have to understand that it's not just more like, okay, I do some mindfulness, or if I use to call it mental training instead, because we can have different purposes. Mindfulness is okay for me, but I still want to more like keep my program as more like a mental training.
Sure.
And it has certain, whenever like I have a client, it has certain purposes for them. And I try to more like pinpoint how they should work just for that purpose. But to understand that is still that it's not just that. we have to accept us as human being, meaning that we have to fulfill the basic needs for us. So, I mean, it's hard to be do a mental training program if you're in the middle of war or something like that.
Yeah.
Really tough. But you have to have strategies. So discipline, wherever you are, whatever situation you are in, you can still make up a plan. You can still learn to do some things that will help you in that situation. So even though it's like you have to think that, oh, I can't do it, you can. Like at the end of one of the classes that I went to, the teacher was like, okay, so who are your clients? And people started asking this and that and that, okay. And I said, okay, I rephrase myself. Who are definitely not your clients? It became quiet. And someone said, oh, maybe someone who is brain dead. Yeah, exactly. That's the only person who you can't work with. And how come? Because all others have some ability to work mentally. And if they have that, then we can work with it. And we can also make a progress. And that's also, I like that view. Like, we believe in people's ability to develop.
Yeah,
So,
I call that, actually someone reminded me of an old video I have, but
Yeah.
I call that being solution-oriented instead of like problem-oriented. Instead of seeing why now it's clearly this doesn't work because this, and this, you know, I choose to see like, well, what does work though? Because there clearly is something. Oh, well, this thing. Oh, maybe we can do this thing that would be theoretically ideal, but how about this though? Oh, we can do that, you know.
Yeah.
Always believe in the person's ability to change and not compare it to some kind of ideal theoretical scenario.
Exactly. So when you ask me about those things, how do I work with kids? Yeah. It's very individual.
Of course.
But I have systems for everything.
Yeah.
Now we come back to me being so organized, putting it like whatever methods and put it in. Also, which thing suits this person, which thing can I just leave, which more is necessary for them to get. So this is the hard thing to more like become a professional in a way that when you go to in Sweden we have like mästare, but it's more like a master, become a master in your tools and your profession. It takes time because you need a lot of tools and you need to work with them, you need to practice them.
Oh yeah.
And then eventually within 10, 15, 20 years you become better and better and better and better, and eventually you know how to do. But it's really hard to say that when you try to generalize, how do you work? I usually look on a person and hear their story. I try to discover really who they are today. And you talked about defense system, what defense system, or what are they doing? What are the behavior today? What are the typical behavior that they use themselves? What are the typical more like thoughts patterns that how do they think? How mentally do they work? Because when I know those things, then I know, okay, I need to lead them into these parts because they have problem. Maybe they have negative thinking. They more like all the day they go think about, this is not for me. I will never succeed with this. I mean, their self-esteem is so low. So instead of more like, okay, we should set high goals, it doesn't work with those. So then I have to take small steps and build in a self-esteem. That's the first way. So that way, you understand? It's hard to say a general thing because sometimes I get people that want like, I want to go for this. I want to become a CEO of a company. Okay, great. We go for that. We put up that.
No, of course. And I agree. Like, I think everyone that has this kind of work creates systems, you know. But systems is what produces results. It's kind of like, this is a system, these are the main components, and then for each individual we do little tweaks, like more of this, less of this, and that kind of thing. But I guess, you know what I do a lot, because I see the struggle sometimes when I want to present sort of how I work with people. You know, you want to say that, well, it is different depending on the person, but you want to give something that's like clear. And so something about becoming a master, by the way, is that I think when we come up with our systems, we have to have ourselves first that we apply them to and try and explore. But then you notice when you've made the system so it works really well for you, now is when when you work with other people, is when you're gonna start noticing that, okay, couldn't approach it the exact same way with this person, and then you sort of start refining it in that way. But what I do a lot in my teachings on YouTube in videos is that I will, for instance, take cases when I want to make a point on how to overcome a certain behavior or problem. It's like, well, I work with this person that was in this situation, and he did this, he described this, and so what I told him was, I like to take cases because that can often make things clearer, even for someone that isn't in the exact same situation. It's like kind of like, oh, well, I have somewhat that problem, okay, I sort of see now what I should be doing, So I think cases often work.
Cases are good.
Yeah,
definitely. And it works quite well. Like you say, they won't most people would like to have some general explanation how is the best way to work. And sorry to say, but there is no way that works on everyone. So what they have to accept is that some people have to start. Some people maybe need to start in first class. Some people have gone to school before, so they can start in fifth class. So it is a difference. Some people have strength in some subjects and others So everything always is different. So you have to be. Whenever I do, I need to more dance with the tools. I need to dance with the client. I need to dance so I have to be very receptive and feeling and understanding, but it does not really help the broader, more public, and that's why you want. I will go there. I will definitely go there. That is some basic. So the basic is that you have to be more you have to accept that learning, never stop and think that you know things I know what I need to know. I am like this. If you're completely full, I'm sorry, you're lost.
Yeah.
You will never be something more than you are. You will be the same person tomorrow. Yeah, sorry.
Completely.
So that's have to be receptive for knowledge. And then the next thing is you have to be also accepting that, okay, this is what I said, who are you today? And what had made me the person I am today? What had affected me? You started with me, what had affected me. And when you realize those things, you see, okay, that person, I don't want to be that person. I want to be someone that people respect. I want to be someone that people think is a nice guy. I don't want people to be scared of me whenever they see me. So, see, that's what they saw. And then, then you get motivated and you get understanding that I need to change things. I need to be doing this really more. I want to be more friendly with people. Even if I don't really know them, maybe I should anyway. So what I usually do in this phase is that I say, let's play theater. I use the clients, I give them assignments to do more next ticket situation you're going to be in next week, and you give it to me. Okay, they explain, I'm going to have a meeting. Okay, who's going to be in the meeting? Okay, and what's the purpose of the meeting? And we're more figuring it out. And I say, okay, so what would you like to it to end? How would you like the meeting to end? Okay, good. Now you know the persons, you know their expectation, you know your expectation, you know what you would like it to end. So, okay, how can you get it from this point to the end point? You're getting out what you wanted from the meeting. If you are receptive for all feelings, maybe one of the persons has a bad day and it's not interesting, maybe sleeping through the meeting or whatever. If you react on that, are you going to reach the end then? No, probably not, because I'm going to be so upset with the person. Okay, so meaning that you have to go in and have a plan. You need to go in and control yourself. So then we come back to the thing that I'm more teaching out. Being in control of your mind and also being in control of your feelings. So you can go into meetings with a plan set for the meeting and also with a strategy how to more like control or being in the right mindset and the right feeling in the start of the meeting. Also, whatever happens, we have gone through how you should react, how you should meet things, and then to reach the goal, how to more like bring it back together and everything. And what's going to happen? I know what's going to happen. They're going to get what they want. Mm-hmm. And then they come back next week and say, yeah, it worked perfectly. Yeah, I know. Mm-hmm. Because now you're starting to use your mind. Mm-hmm. And when you start using your mind, and when you get better and better, you can control your feelings, you can control your behavior, you're going to get what you want. Mm-hmm. And then you get a little bit scared. Oh, but am I turning into a psychopath? No, you're not. But
you're becoming conscious.
You're being conscious, and you're more like you're aware of yourself. You're aware of what you want, and you also can express this in a better way, and you leave your bad behaviors out of the situation because you don't want them there any longer. They've been with you for a long time, but you don't bring them along any longer. And we have replaced them instead. And they go, yeah, this is working much better. Yes. And when they start doing this, they see the benefits of this process. They say, oh, I can become whatever I like. I can do whatever I like. Yeah, you can. And then sometimes they are with this, that they feel like, okay, but this feels a little bit I need to have something to more like hold on to. Yeah, good. And I mean, whoever is afraid that they're going to get lost without any empathy and things, don't worry, because that's a part also within the program that we have, that we're also working on the values, we're also working on really building a firm structure of the more like fundamental values. So that's the thing. So they are ending up with the values that they want to have. We're not giving them values, we're more like just giving the tools how to create those, and also to question, because maybe they will change during the time. You never know. Because as we get older, it's not that interesting to work like 16 hours per day and longer when you turn 60. You think maybe I should slow down. Oh, maybe grandkids are coming soon. I don't know. But I can't be traveling around the world. I can't do all those things and also be... So it's the next phase in the life. So, yeah. I mean, it's endless what you can do when you start. That's why it's always go back to your mind. With your mind, if you start working it out, you become really in control over your mind. Wow, you can control your life, and not just that. You can really also affect a lot of people. You can affect the surroundings when you go into a room. If you would like people to feel better, you can decide to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I think what I think the most when you talk about this is sort of really taking responsibility for your life, you know. And what that means to me is to not look for solutions outside of yourself. That, yeah, of course, you can come to someone and be like, oh, Lelle is going to help me. But it's like, I have to change, though. He might point me in the right direction. He might give me some advice, but I have to do it, though. And a lot of people just think that this person will fix me or this thing will fix me, you know. And because, yeah, you said that, I take that as an example that, you know, we're both quite extroverted, but for different reasons. I felt like, you know, I was more afraid of being like outgoing in public. And in Sweden, in Stockholm, people are kind of like keeping to themselves. Yeah. But I just had a feeling that it just feels like I should be able to talk to more people and have a more good time and connect with people just a little bit here and there. But again, you find yourself almost waiting for, oh, I wish people were more like that, you know, like, again, looking outside of yourself. But when I just decided that, okay, first of all, it just helps to improve yourself so that you're more comfortable in your own skin. You're not going to be as self-conscious in general. But it's still, when no one else does that thing, just asking, I take the example always, the cashier in the grocery store, no one says, how are you today, you know, it can still feel a little like awkward to do. But I've felt like I want to be spreading good energy, but I also want to get good energy. I don't just want to move around like a little solo agent everywhere like this. So I really cultivated that behavior that, even when it felt a bit awkward at first, just asking little questions to people in public like that, now it happens seamlessly. That I talk to people and connect with people everywhere. I spread good energy. I see how I leave someone with a bigger smile than when I saw them. And I got energy from that too, you know. So that's what I think when you talk about that. Like, if you want a different outcome in life, well, the constant in your life is you. So you're the one that's going to have to change first. Can you just, oh, I wish other people were like that. Or, nah, you got to be like that. Then other people are going to be like that also.
Yeah, the observation made, it's quite common that you want to, but you expect something to happen for it to happen. But, okay, the only thing you can control is really your own behavior. So don't wait for things, just do it. I've been practicing myself, and people say, yeah, you're so outgoing, it's so easy for you. It was not easy from the beginning.
Exactly.
Like, I've been working on this. I mean, I got embarrassed when I was younger. I got embarrassed just for when I came into a new group, and you know how it is. Everyone should present themselves. Wow. Started sweating. My face turned red. So it's like, whatever word was full of sweat when it came to me, and I was more like staring there. Could not even speak. I started with that. But eventually, I mean, now I love talking in front of people. I now love more like I do the same as you. Whenever I get the chance, I say something extra to the cashier or whatever. Or if I'm in a public place and I don't know where to go, instead of searching for some map or something like that, I ask someone. So much better, so much better. So let's say I go for a conference where I don't know anyone at the conference, and I'm there all by myself, and people, do you go to the conference by yourself? Yeah, why not? I meet people. How do you meet people? Yeah, usually I just ask them, do you know where this lecture is? Or like, yeah, I'm on my way to that. Okay, can I follow you? Yeah, no problem. And then I have a new friend.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
Yeah. That's really why you and I are here right now.
Exactly.
But what I started thinking about also, just came to mind, was I told you and I mentioned now also about stage fright.
Yeah.
And I think I'm someone that, because of trauma and that I struggled more with it, and that's one thing. But I felt, I also have this heritable like tremor. So I tremble a little bit, which meant that when I got nervous, I would tremble more. My baseline is what most people get when they're a bit nervous, So it would be more for me. But clearly now in hindsight, I could see there was mostly in here, because now I still tremble a little bit, but I don't get the same reaction anymore. But I always felt like, if only I didn't have this, I'm really meant to be able to like stand in front of people and deliver some kind of message. But it's not possible for me because of this. And I try to find all these other ways around it, using beta blockers to limit the physical response to being nervous. Didn't change on the inside. I'm still anxious on the inside, But all these techniques, again, really just looking for things outside of myself. And now that I've had to face that, the panic attack thing I went through kind of made everything a stage, every social situation. So I'm lucky in that sense. But now, if I were to go back to younger Theo, I would just tell him, like, dude, you just gotta face it, Like, if you want to be more comfortable in these situations, there's no such thing as removing this fear before you face it, Of course, doing certain things like improving the physicality in that, you like I call it, upgrade the hardware. But in the end, what would have made me a person that's more comfortable being on a stage, talking to people, would be doing that more, instead of avoiding it and looking for all these other little crutches,
And bringing in what we have talked about, like you said, improving your hardware, the body, and also bringing in the tools that, how can I calm myself? How can I put myself in the right mindset?
And I would always do the complete opposite that we talked about. That this, I call it the reaction loop. That say I'm going to have some kind of speech or something in whatever time, and I'm like, I feel this initial nervous response, like I can't be like this now. Try to control it, force it to go away, and then I notice that it doesn't happen. As a reaction, it now gets worse. It's like, no, it can't get worse. I need to calm it down now. And then suddenly I've made myself into this borderline panic state, Instead of just observing that, okay, the little stress response came. Slow down, come back to the breathing, let it stay there. That's what I noticed. I have an example of when I was working in a gym. I was a PT then, but sometimes I would fill in the reception. And it was in the summer, and there were supposed to be some group training classes. And with very short notice, the person leading the class was like sick. Probably not sick, I don't know, but they wouldn't show up anyway. And usually could get a hold of someone to fill in, but it's in the middle of the summer, it's short, and I realized that it will fall on me. And I noticed that initial, like nervous response, that I've never done this, and also this minor stage fright that I have is still there on some level. And you start thinking about everything I have to do. But instead of fighting it, like, no, I can't be like this, I just accepted that, I feel a little nervous about this. Okay, let's just go to the solution here. I'm going to have to find like the program that I have to follow. And then it didn't get worse. Then it's that sort of nervousness that would have just kind of made me sharp. Then what ended up happening in the end, that I was almost excited now to have it, but someone actually showed up last minute, and I was almost disappointed at that point instead that, but I was looking forward to the challenge now.
Yeah.
And kind of observing this about myself, that the very same situation some years ago, I would have handled completely differently, and I would be freaking out like this.
Yeah, and the change of focus is a good method when you're that type of more like situation. So it's something that I also teach people how to handle panic attacks. So if I see you in the subway or something and you have a panic attack, and I will more like go to you and I will ask you, it's like, where are you going? Do you need help? Where are you going? But just for you to change focus and explain to me where you're going reduces your panic attack. So that's more like a first step. Change your focus. So I'm tricking you to change focus. So it works quite well.
Yeah, so, completely. But so do you have any like case so we can be a little practical? Do you have like a good story of someone that came to you with certain problems and you went through a certain process and it worked out well for them in the end?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, a lot of cases, but to find the right one that's most suitable. I mean, I've been working mostly with young kids that have with quite severe problems. Maybe not everyone can relate to those. I've been working also with CEOs for big multinational companies. I've been
that's
broad, like. So but the problems are quite different. I think it's better in a way to more like take an example for when it comes to the kids, because they are not aware. I don't know, maybe someone sitting there and I say, I want to go more like hardcore. I want to know I'm quite familiar with everything. I like to get good tips on how to reach the next level. Maybe we'll have another episode in 6 months or something like that about that. But right now, I think if you go for more like ordinary people, that you can change things. When you can't see it yourself, when you have more like given up yourself, a lot of people are in that situation right now. We have a lot of more like mental, not really mental illness, but there are people depressed, people have no faith for the future, they starting to question themselves and sorts of things, and they have tried to change, but they can't change things. That's a quite common situation. It's good if they have someone, if they go to someone, but it doesn't have to be a therapist or something, someone that, why not a coach? Yes, coach. But if you can have a PT, personal trainer, when it comes to your physics, why can't you have like one for the mind? Why can't you have one for your emotions? I mean, I'm a PT also, but I don't take those cases because I think that you should go to someone who's better than me. I'm not the best one. I'm not the best one, and the other ones either. But the thing is that there are people that are really good at it. Ask for them to be a coach. That's the first step. Ask for help. Whatever your situation you are in, ask for help. So like a good example for that is I was with a couple of kids many years ago in the north of Norway, and we went out fishing. I mean, we had a boat, we had the ecosystem, we were searching for the fishes and everything. Couldn't find anything, nothing. So we were out, I think, 8 to 10 hours in a boat. The kids were in a bad mood, but they were still excited. We were going up to the north of Norway. So me and the other stuff, we gave up. So now we're going home, we're going to make dinner things. And then we went in, and then they asked, but what should we do? I said, whatever we end up in those situations when you don't know how to do it, obviously we're doing something wrong, we don't know how to solve it. Look on other people that are good at it and go to them and ask.
Yeah.
And we were like in the harbor, and they saw other older fishermen, more like they had got so many torsk.
Oh,
yeah.
Cod.
Cod, okay. So I said, go to them and ask, and they did. I mean, the guys were like 50, yeah, one was 15, the other was 16, and they went to the mosque, and then they come back and said, can we go out again? Can we go out there? I said, no, we can't. And then I made a worse mistake. I said, okay, you can go out, don't go farther than that, and then we go up and make dinner. Yeah, what happened? The fog came in, they were gone. That was a tough night. But the thing that when we found them, they got a lot of fish. And they were so happy. And they didn't want, I mean, we were up for 3 days fishing, and they didn't want to leave. They were that fantastic experience. And what changed it? They asked someone for help. That's what the only thing that changed the total situation. To take more like the guts to go to this old disordered person, fisherman, talking another little bit another language, is almost similar, but not Norwegian with Swedish, and ask for help, and it changed the outcome of this weekend completely. So that's one major thing. But another example is one guy that he got stuck in behaviors. He was acting out really bad. He was a guy that everyone was scared of because he was really violent. And I decided that, okay, we need to have some sort of stop. When he gets this feeling that he wants to kill someone, we need to have something that stops him. So, and then I'm more like, okay, I figure out, okay, what can I do? I need something that can stop and also reduce his anger and everything so he become calm again. And what is that? It's what we call incompatible behavior. Like when it comes to cognitive behavioral therapy, you can work in different ways with different behavior. You have different methods. I will not go through everything. But to meet a feeling, a behavior with something that is incompatible, meaning that it doesn't work together, it means that it will reduce the effect of this feeling and the anger he has. So I thought, okay, he needs a hug really. Because when you get a hug, that starts producing positive hormones with automatically. It just works. So I said to him, like, okay, we can do like this whenever you feel like, and you know it yourself, and I can see it, whenever you walk into the room and you have those eyes and you want to more like kill everyone, that's the closest person you find. You can hit me. I give you the promise, you can hit me. But you have to do one thing before. If you give me a hug, and I decide when to release you from the hug, but if you give me a hug, afterwards, when I release you, you can hit me as much as you want. And he thought that I was crazy. So I said, really? Yeah, it's no problem. So next time when he came in and he had this feeling, Lelle, come, I want to hit you. No, stop. First a hug. I said, okay. So started hugging him. And then he was, oh, no. I said, no. I decide when we stop the hug. And when he more like, you can feel it in the body when he becomes calm and everything. And then I released him and said, now you can fight. Now you can hit me if you like. I don't want to fight. And you know, I get this way sometimes. Yeah, no. Okay. So, and it ended up with this guy, instead of coming in, wanted to kill people. Whenever he felt bad, he came in. can someone give me a hug? So it completely changed him. Just one simple method completely changed how he handles his internal emotions. So I don't know if it was some sort of...
Yeah, no, that's interesting. It's really interesting. It's like just a case that I would not have thought of myself. but very, very interesting. I don't quite know. It's just interesting to listen. So I don't quite know where to go with it past that. But so I guess I'll just like take that in because it was interesting, and I think we're gonna round off like not very soon, but start like tying the knot on things. If another sort of case. Because you mentioned working with like CEOs like too. So that kind of person, what would they? I realize it can be different things, but what could they come to you with, and how would you help that kind of person? Because it's cool. It's good to see that that's someone that's kind of really lots of problems with aggression, and we took it on that level. But let's say someone is like probably doing all right in many ways, but it's like I want to level up somehow. Well, do you have any example of someone like that, and what you could help a person like that with?
Yeah, of course, and it's not even.
I'll
if
say,
they reach,
let you go on, but then I'm going to ask you about the thing about happiness that you want to bring up. So let's finish this one and then move on to that.
I mean, even if you are high performance in society. If you measure like that, I would not like to measure like that, but even if like you feel like, okay, I'm doing okay, even if you're a man or woman, it doesn't matter, because still, for a lot of those people, there's something missing. There's also these questions about, am I doing the right thing? Should I do something else? Is that really what I dreamt of from the beginning? So for most of those people, it's questioning, am I doing the thing that I wanted? Because I'm not, and that's why you lead me to happiness.
Perfect.
I'm still not happy. I'm still not fulfilled. There's something missing in my life. So that's usually why those people come to me, is that something is missing. It's not complete. So, and of course, what we're going through is more like we're going through their life, the different areas of life. I mean, you have usually different coach methods have different wheels of life, if you call them, or the holistic way or the wellness way, or there's tons of different ways how to view which parts are very important. We have our own also, like how we work. But so we go through them and we see like, where is it that you are not really fulfilled? So more like pinpoint it, find where is it that you are not fulfilled, and how can you do to improve that? The thing that we don't just let the person find out themselves. We are always trying to more like give them some tools, inspire them to do things. And first, it's more like to make them see that, oh, this works. It really works. So we give them something that we know works, and then they come back and, oh, it works good. And they see that, okay, I'm in control. Now I can do things and it works. So it can be related to the work, to the more like working situation with their employees, and they have a problem with one, and then say, okay, how would you like it to be? What can you do to make it become that? Okay, they have not made it. It's my responsibility. Yeah. If you wanted to change, you're going to change it. Don't wait for them to start it. And it's quite easy. They see like, okay, when I take control, it's possible. Or when I'm not fulfilled, I'm not really happy. Because, I mean, you have dreams, you have different dreams, and you are, we talked about this once before, I remember, that we are not that more like one-minded as a person. We have different dreams, we have different characteristics within ourselves. And when we grow older, when we mature, we let go of some and keep them. Oh, there were dreams I had when I was younger and things like that. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to fulfill that anyway. But when we're still in the age of like, we're going through stages in life when we form a family, when we get married, for example, people have like questions themselves, am I doing the right thing? Should I leave this life behind? Like, yeah, okay. It's a choice you have to make.
Yeah.
Or you can try it at least, and then if it doesn't work, yeah, depending on. But it's what we do is that we trying to find the real strive, or what more like gives them meaning. What is more like? What would you like to do to create meaning? And even if, let's say, for example, someone thinks that I would change my life. I have fantastic job, everything, but it doesn't give me fulfillment. And also my boss, he is not that good. I can't really stand him. Okay, so then I'm more like trying to figure out, okay, what's wrong with your job? You make good money, you educated yourself to become theirs. Where did it more like become something that you didn't like? And turns out, yeah, maybe it's the boss that made it. It's a situation at work. So
not the, like what you do, but that circumstance when you
exactly. And then find out, okay, is it that you're dreaming of something completely else, or is it more like a way of getting out of it? So trying to figure out what is your needs really, and also if they have a family, okay, how important are they? Because they're going to get affected if you change job or something like that. So we more like make the person find what is meaningful for them, what gives them meaning, what more like would make them completely happy. So maybe getting a better relationship with the boss is quite easy. I mean, if you understand that it is in your hands, you can create it, you can do it, just decide to do it. And we will help you with the tools, how to do it. And also, when it comes home, with your wife, or with your spouse, okay, so what is the problem? Like, okay, yeah, we don't talk that much, and we're like, okay, so why? We don't have the time, so okay, so you need to schedule the time, or how do you do it? Like, does she or he thinks it's a problem? I don't know. Okay, so you need to talk. So okay, we guide them to the way. So usually, it's very easy with more like those kinds of people, because they have the competence, they have the knowledge, they have. Instead of, you call it uncommon sense.
Uncommon sense.
Uncommon sense, you call it. They have the common sense. Okay?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So they have the common sense to more like figure out, when we more like lead them into the things, it becomes so natural for them. It becomes like, okay, yeah, we can do this. So it's really nice also, because usually those people, they change their life within couple of weeks. It doesn't take that long.
No, it's that kind of person that's kind of ready to execute, and just need to be pointed in the right direction.
Yeah. And if you want that more, they change their life. If you want to get hardcore, if you want more like complete, genuine happiness, okay, it's not something you get in a couple of weeks. So, no.
And I think what I think about, because when we're trying to get to the bottom, like what does it look like when you work with a person and that, and we might not talk so much. Like if I think about my coaching, for instance, the elite program that is the most holistic. I have like a secondary program that is more focused on the fitness, you know. But I think one big thing is just cultivating that way of being, that you always ask yourself, like, this thing that I would like, you know, just how do I go about getting that? Like, how can I shape myself? How can I align myself with the outcome I'd like to see? I'll just take it, because that's what I feel like I have, and you refine it, you're going to have blind spots with certain things. But, you know, a couple of things that come to mind. I mentioned to you that I find it hard when I work a lot to like slow down, we speak, talk about in between. But instead of just accept, oh no, there's just so much, I just can't slow down. It's more like, no, I'm always looking for how can I improve this? Where is there time to actually sit down and not do anything and relax a little bit? For instance, you know, I don't just accept immediately that, okay, I'm not finding the time to slow down. It's more like, no, that's how it is right now. I want to do something to change that. Another thing that was a late blind spot for me is that I'm naturally not a very orderly person. I create a bit of a mess around me in my apartment, for instance. For a long time, I just felt like that's just the way I am. You know. Then I realized that no, that's not true. Maybe I'll never be the most pedantic person, and I don't feel like I need to be. But at times, I'm like, this mess I created now, I don't like it, you know. And instead of that's one of the later things I woke up to, that instead of like, that's just the way I am, it's like, no, I have to take time then to prioritize tidying the place up a little bit more. And now around the blind spot here, things are a little spread out, but it's like, it's still this, I've raised the level a lot and I'm still working on it, you know. So I think often as a coach in this sort of way, that's a mental training. It's like you create a way of thinking and going about things that when you want something, you immediately things start ticking. Like, how can I go about that? What little thing could I change? What could that look like? You know, and like you said, if it's about happiness, you're not happy right now. It's not something that you're going to change like that. It's going to be this gradual looking for little ways to further align yourself with the outcome that you'd like to see.
It's going to be little steps, but it's also a quite big step to take because as long as you are more like trying to create happiness through things that are outside of yourself, things that more like they can disappear tomorrow. It's your relationship with your girlfriend, whatever, and
money.
She breaks up, or your mother, she dies. I mean, this is life. As long as more like that is your happiness is in the need of those things to be in your life, it's going to be fragile.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
So happiness has to be something else, and to realize that I can't buy my happiness. I can't do it by buying a Ferrari or Lamborghini, whatever. It will not, because maybe someone will crash the car tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I forgot to pay the insurance. Yeah. Whatever.
And I also think that many times when we think that when I have this, then I'll be happy. That's again, when you focus on something outside of yourself, you're kind of always, there might be, if you acquire something that you thought would make you happy, there might be a sort of initial rush that now I got the thing, you know. But quite soon you're going to realize that, hey, nothing really changed. And now it's many times you can feel even worse, because like, wow, the thing I thought would make me happy just didn't.
Yeah. And also that to more like reach that, whenever I get that, I will more like become happy. Yeah, for a while, it works for a while. That's why it's important. Happiness, for me, happiness is more like something that I'm happy enough to have it in my life. More like when it comes to that level, really, you get more like a resistance, as it's called, resilience against.
Resilience.
Yeah, resilience against whatever happens. I mean, things people can ask, like, how can you more like handle things like you do? That because I'm happy, and I'm happy because of how I view things and what I have had the possibility to give to others and everything. So and I have a hard time understanding it. But happiness, you have to more like make it build on things that you are giving to others. So,
yeah.
So that's the thing. And I say, can I get happy? Yeah, you can get extremely happy by doing that. You don't know. But you have to understand and try it, because it's wonderful when you do it. And then maybe I sound like something from the 70s or whatever, but it works. I can promise you it works. So it's not depending on material things. It's not depending on people around you. People are going to be there and be happy and grateful for every day you get with them. And if you've done that, you've done the best you can.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a gift. Whatever good day you get with people, be grateful for that and appreciate that. And then the journey is going to be wonderful. So, and the acceptance of nothing is forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I started thinking about it a little bit, this with happiness, because I would say I have it now, but I see at times that when I don't, and probably because I've been attached to something that I lose, you know. But you said something important. It's like about what you give to others.
Yeah.
And that's an example, for instance. Now, my YouTube channel the last year is way bigger, and I've just felt the impact I'm doing a lot more. And then I feel really happy about that, right? But I think about sometimes that, you know, you don't know, you could be unlucky with something, and what if I just get banned or something, my YouTube channel? But that's, like, first of all, I'm prepared. Like, I think about things. Like, it's like with my body too. That I love my training process. But you know, someone could hit me with a car, some drunk person, I break my legs or something. Already prepared for that kind of thing also. But what I think is, it's important because when you just, I don't know how to phrase it exactly, but right now I feel like, okay, it would be some kind of blow that I take if my YouTube channel, for instance, went away. But I still feel though that, well, the things I do on there, I still am doing in my life every day when I go about my life. I give and do something for others at all times, and that will never go away, you know.
Yeah.
So, but I guess just because we started talking about it, but I think you, the way you phrased it before was something like, really, is happiness, and is it even possible to achieve? So how would you answer that question yourself in a more like, because it's one thing for you, maybe it's slightly different thing for someone else, but in a more general way, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, happiness is something that is achievable if you are able to be grateful. That's the first thing. You need to be able to be grateful for the moment that you get. You just know, right now we're sitting here, next second something could have happened. Like, be grateful in the moment. If you have that more like skill to do it, perfect. The next thing is that also to be aware of what's happening around you and be grateful. And anyone can be happy. And also the acceptance of that life is not forever, things are not forever. So, I mean, I've been there, I've done that. I bought a Porsche and I crashed it on Nürburgring. It's like, it's crazy. On the first lap, it's crazy, 160 kilometers an hour, like, whoa, and that, okay, this is it. Oh, did I pay the insurance? That's right. I've been there, I've done that. So, as long as, like, if you build up because of the panic that arrives in you and you realize I crashed a 1.5 million Swedish crown car, it's like, you feel like, oh, this is the end. No, it's not the end. Definitely not.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you can be in the moment, you can be grateful for what you get, and you can give to others. You don't know if you necessarily get something back. This is also the wonderful thing. But it comes. Don't question it. You never know when it's going to come, but it comes. I mean, it could be a text message, it could be anything that from someone that you even forgot about and say, I have to text you because I'm so grateful for everything you've done for me. It's like, wow. And then you start crying, for tears. So it's not that hard. So when you give, you will get. I mean, if you sow, you can harvest. It's quite simple. But if you expect it to be there, then you will have a problem.
Yeah, the thing is, what you say there, I agree with. And what I've learned is that you will always get something back, but you don't get to decide exactly what that looks like or when it happens. Because that can be, again, with having a YouTube channel. I felt I poured my heart and soul in this for so many years, really wanting to help. And it's growing so slowly. And of course, there's like the old, I could get clients to work with even when it was quite a bit smaller. But, you know, sometimes that's slow also. The growth is slow. You put out a video you felt really good about. The next day it's like 100 views, 13 likes, no comment, you know. And people have told me every once in a while that you deserve more subscribers, you know. And I've fallen into that kind of entitlement sometimes. Yeah, where are they, you know? But it's kind of funny because I believe, you know, I'm spiritual. And I believe in sometimes it's like the universe is waiting for you to be ready for something. And when So I had a very tough year in 2023 and the biggest identity crisis with everything I do. Then I sort of took a step back. I did what we call shadow work. I really looked at myself, like how did I end up in these situations? What behaviors do I don't like about myself? What do I have to change to get a different outcome? And I sort of found myself back to a place where I feel good about myself and life again. But I just was a little bit like, well, things are still moving a bit slow with all of this. Like, what should I do? And then I just let go completely of the outcome. It's like, I go back to the basics. As always, I'll just focus on what I know that's helpful for people. I put that out. I showed you my little chalkboard in there. I started just putting out some lectures, long format videos like Weight Loss 101, go through everything I know about that. Next thing, Building Muscle 101, and they go through that. Suddenly, like out of nowhere, this old video goes viral and I get everything. And to me, it's kind of like, and so when I stopped being entitled for like, come on, where is it? Where is it? Yeah. It's almost like the universe was like, oh, he got it now. Let's just boost that one video.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice story, and I think you really pinpointed that, because if you do expect it, then you're going to wait for it, and that's connected with more like negative feelings. You don't want negative feelings. I mean, we can't be happy the whole time, but
sure,
we want more like have a harmony. We like to have a balance, and balance is more like acceptance, to be accepting things as they are. And also to be grateful, and then when you then get it back, you will be genuinely happiness instead.
Oh yeah.
And this is not the last time you're going to feel that.
Oh,
but
no.
You never know when it's going to come the next time. That's also the wonderful thing with life. Yeah. So, I mean, if you start giving, things will come back. You never know when, but you can be sure they will come back to you in some way. You don't know how. But it is an acceptance for life, and by doing that, I think you still will. It's the best way how to develop as a person. Even if you're a CEO or whatever, you're still going to more like, you're going to do things, but you're going to do it in a way that you're proud of yourself. You're proud of what you're doing, and you know that you're doing right, and it will give back to you. Life will give back to you. So, I mean, we have wellness for companies. We can implement the ideas also for companies and for how to work within a company structure. So it's not just for individuals. It functions also in organizations. So
yeah,
I'm quite more like convinced that this works, because I've been the way that you more like describing, and I've also been this hard, disciplined person. I've been disciplined and more like on pinpoint, doing exactly the right thing at the exactly right time, and then expecting the result to come, and they don't come, and you get frustrated and you do it harder. It doesn't work. It's not the right way, really. It's to continue to do things. Yeah, discipline is not negative. It's something positive, but when it leads to that more like an obsession, then it's wrong. Totally wrong.
Oh yeah, a couple of just quickly. Being in a state of waiting is a terrible place to be. Where it's like, because you're in denial of the present moment. It's like, nah, this thing needs to come, But the beautiful thing I see this with expectations is that when it clicks how it works, then you can expect something, but not in this like, I need this to happen, I must have this, I'm entitled to this outcome. But it's like, for me, I'm talking about being process-oriented over results-oriented. That, of course, we want certain results, but we focus on the process. And for me, for instance, with training, it's been for such a long time now, because when you get into it, you're kind of like, oh, when will I have abs? When will I have this number on this exercise? When will I see this kind of shape on this muscle or something? The further you've gone through the process, also bulking and cutting kind of, when will I look lean? And also, I don't want to give up this lean look that I have now, but I kind of have to eat more if I want to put on muscle. But the more times I've gone through this process, I just roll with what it has to look like. And I'm not thinking in a matter of when will this thing happen. I just know that if I follow the system that I know works, it will come. So I expect it in a sense, but not in this like entitled that I must have it, because I know that if I go through the process and see that I improve this much, little, every time,
Yeah.
it will come. It's a question about when, not if.
It will come. Totally. The problem is more like that. We talked about this earlier, not in this discussion, but that if you compare yourself with yourself and you have that more like you want to improve yourself, then it will come. If you compare yourself with others, then you will most likely not be satisfied with the results. Even if they come, it's still not going to be fast enough. It's still going to be like, because you're going to compare, oh, those other guys, see, they've grown like this, now why didn't I do it? So it's comparing yourself with other people is something, I would say it's a dangerous way if you want to develop as a person, because it should be that there is this saying more like become the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
And it's a good one. You are who you are. Take it from there and become something better. That's it. And you've done something wonderful.
On happiness, just some things. I thought you mentioned being proud of yourself.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I talk about too. Like, if you want to like yourself, I mean, who do you like? What kind of person do you like? You have to act accordingly. And I think sometimes people, it's again thinking that it's somehow some kind of solution. I can just change the way. I don't know. I can do some kind of change and I just like myself. It's like, yeah, you can, but the change has to be that you more and more act in line with what you think a person that you like is, And I took it as an example today. I showed you even that pendulum squat set I did. And for me, I want to be like this one that can just, when it comes to just pushing, giving it your all, I'm able to do that, for instance. So when I do a set like that, it's completely all out rest pauses and then dropping the weight twice. And I'm just so exhausted afterwards. And I'm just like, I feel good about myself when I do this, And to me, because sometimes people talk about shouldn't tie your worth to like achievement in a sense. But to me, that's more like, I guess it's achievement as in, I've made this amount of money or something. But to me, that's like what I achieve is just giving it my all. It's not really about how much weight did I move or how many reps was it, It's that I want to be a person that's able to do that kind of thing. Then there are many different examples of things you could do that make you feel proud. Just being a nice person to other people, like we talked about. But the other thing I wanted to say about happiness, I think one thing is when you've worked on yourself, so you know how capable you are in many ways and how many different problems you've solved. I think also, even when you're hit with something unexpected and something big, you're going to have this like base trust that, well, I will figure it out in the end, though, because I always have. And I call it, because at least a person like myself, I feel like I'm working on staying closer and closer to the center, not riding these highs when I'm almost like manic about life or being super depressed. But I think that's something I have to roll with, that it could come a time when things are really darker again. And then I can't really have that experience of, I'm so capable, because I just feel like, no, I feel terrible and things are not going the way I want at all. I call it then having a sort of stoic knowledge that when I cannot experience this, there's still some sort of just thought that I have that, this is part of this kind of phase in life. And you have to go through exactly this now. Just keep going is really all you can do right now, and it will turn out better in the end. Even for this reason, I would say this difficult year I described, 2023, on some deep level, I had that stoic knowledge that you will find your way in the end. It just kind of has to be pretty terrible right now.
Yeah, I think it's something that you should hold on to. That is more like a thought pattern that you should keep. It's functional. It works for you. It's good to have it in those situations. You have a trust in yourself. But okay, bad luck. But eventually, if I just keep doing this, or that, I mean, if you do the same, it doesn't work. You know what that means. That you have to change it a bit of it, or something else was the reason why. But to not give up, that's the major thing that more like keeps us, I would say it also describes us as humans, because we have talked about maybe now genuine happiness and also more like being in control of our feelings. I think you should spice it. I should say that at least that sometimes why not spice it a little bit? Why not like people say, I don't want to change this much because I like good food and things. I say keep that, but not every day. I don't need cake
Adjust,
every day. Yeah.
not completely 180 change always.
Exactly. It's like so if I ask you what things that you more like appreciate most, what would you like not give up? You would like to spice your life with something. Figure that out and keep that. You can't do it every day. So because you have to, and this is also something more physical. Then it comes into how your body works. You can't have a life where you seek those more like feelings of wow. You can't do that whole time because we are constructed in a way that the body wants balance. So it tries to take you down and you go, wow, they try to take you down. And eventually it's realized, okay, we can't accept this. And then it really works. So you can't even get a wow any longer. And you continue doing it. And now we get into addiction a little bit. You continue doing it, even if you don't get the wow feeling. And then you're just doing it just to feel good. Just to feel okay. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think, because we're going to round off now, about addictions, it's a big topic, but
it is.
Because one can talk about why we end up in addictions. To me, a quick point about it is that many times it's some sort of escape from life, covering up some kind of pain. But I also see that sometimes it's kind of purely a bad habit, that something entered your kind of regimen, if you will, that give you this wow, like you said. But instead of keeping it at a moderate level, so you get to keep experience that thing, you start leaning on it more and more, and suddenly, instead of being something that's supposed to at times bring you up a bit, it's now something you depend on to even be okay. I would say that for me, nicotine is a thing like that. That now, and I'm proud. I've kept now for like a month my lower consumption with the goal I had after doing my New Year's fast, but because I feel like it's something that I don't want to give up completely. It does contribute something to me. Now, especially when I use it in this way, but when I just overuse it, now it's just this thing I feel bad when I don't have,
Exactly.
And I realize you just ruin the thing for yourself. Then I think there are certain things that maybe we have to exclude completely. I won't go into what exactly, but there are certain things that I definitely just noted. I cannot be moderate with this, that it has to go. But the nicotine snus, that I feel like I could actually see that, no, it's something I want, but then I have to push it down. Yeah. So it's actually a boost a few times throughout the day instead of this thing I need all the time to be okay, even. If you want to add something to that.
Yeah, I think because you went into it first,
sure.
Addiction is usually, you differ it in two ways. Either you are seeking a feeling like the one I described, or you're trying to avoid a feeling. So it's regulating feelings.
I would say it's more often the latter thing.
Yeah, it is. That's the most common one, is trying to avoid a feeling. So, or replace it with something else. So yeah, but so it's a bit complex, but at the same time, you can't really get out of it if you're not open enough to both leave it and you're open enough to learn new things, because you are frustrated. You're trying to get out of it, and it doesn't work. And you're more frustrated, and you seek new help, and it doesn't work. So this is like the situation for most addicts. And I mean, addict is not just the people who are taking narcotics.
No, it's just the most obvious thing, really.
Yeah, but most people feel like they have some issues that they have not been able to quit. It can be nicotine or candy or whatever. They're trying to quit, they can't do it. And they need to, more like mentally, want another life without it. If you ask someone and say, okay, do you want another life without the candy? No, I still want the candy. Okay, then we have a problem. Because you need to more like take a step from it. And I'm talking about years usually, when you after that can maybe try to take something, but I would never recommend it. Like if you stop nicotine for a couple of years, I would not recommend it to take one.
No, if I stop for years, I probably just leave it.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It's good. So I mean, but we have working methods. But when people say, "Oh, it doesn't work," it's usually because they're not ready for it.
Yeah. That's what I noticed too. That before with nicotine, for me, I just had this like vague feeling that I should do it less. But it's like I didn't see a clear enough reason to do it, and then I don't really want it. So when I kind of force myself, I do these fasts when I remove food and stimulants, caffeine and nicotine. I've noticed that caffeine is more like a chaser to the nicotine for me. If I take away the nicotine, I don't really need the caffeine, but I like them together, sort of. But then, so I would always go back to using less, but I had no clear like why, other than I should. I just should for some reason. Then when life gets like stressful, I autopilot into old behaviors and I would just ramp it up and end up at least very close to where I was before. Now I actually found a why that I just saw that how well sometimes when I feel a bit stressed and anxious in my body, it's actually part of these stimulants when I've overused them. You know, I don't notice how much they actually affect me sometimes. And then I got a clearer why, that because no, I do want to have them, but I do not want that feeling. So I see for many people, the why is not strong enough sometimes. It's more this like I should. It's so vague.
And it's like you're bringing up new interesting areas, because then we're like the different phases of changing things. Yeah, so this is really hard. Even if we're talking for hours, it's so many things that you need to more like be aware of. You need to learn to understand about how you work as a person, but also like other people, how they work. So when it comes to more like coaching, within this life, it's not just you; it is also the environment that you are in. So
that's
when it comes to CEOs and things like that, they work internationally. Wow, it's complex because they have so many cultures that they interact with and have to more like understand. So they act and they proceed in the right way. So, oh wow! So the thing with working with people is wonderful, because it brings you in the situation where we started at. Okay, I have learned a bit. I've been working with this for 30 years, just more like helping people to change, and I've been trying to learn as much as possible. I should have made an introduction about it. I've been writing a book about it. It's quite popular. I was a co-writer in the book that is second or third most popular one in Sweden when it comes to more like working with change and youth. I am a licensed teacher in emotional balance, and I've been trying to learn so many things, but still feel like, wow, there's so much to learn, so much.
Oh yeah, always.
And this is the thing that what I'm doing now is more like I'm happy that I have the ability to do. I'm happy to be here also, so that hopefully I can help people in a broader scale to change, not just the one who was one-on-one with. So it's no. I think if you don't have anything more right now, or it's like. You said we have to end up.
Yeah, is there something? I mean, because I think I had some notes here about things, but as I suspected, certain of them we got deep into, which I'm very happy about. But I guess if there's anything else you want to bring up, what I was going to say is that I know that you've just started a YouTube channel and launching a website, right?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to, here at the end for you to kind of just promote whatever you'd like to promote from your things.
Okay, no, I'm happy that you mentioned it. I'm launching a website. At this stage, we mostly it's going to be one-on-one coaching from the beginning. It's going to be added to an application. Application is going to be more like the basic thing that you can do yourself. So it's more like a self-managing program. I'm quite sure it will help a lot of people, and it's also going to be acceptable for a price that is possible or reachable for everyone. So these things are coming on the web and on the app, and then also launching next week. Next week a YouTube channel also. So I will be a little bit more structured in that part, because then I'm more like going into the different steps of it, in both theoretical and also like need to take this and this. So I think for anyone who's interested, just changing in general and being in control, because what I'm talking about is control your mind. And then you can also start controlling your feelings. And oh, wow, you can control your life. And wow, you can not control, but you can affect your surrounding. So I love it. I'm so happy that I more like changed my career and went into this instead of when I was more like on the path to it.
But that was probably a necessary experience for you to have, to end up where you are now, and that also means that you can relate to certain people that you just cannot if you haven't been there. So, does the website have a name?
Right now we are really I should not mention now. Can we like put it behind so they can, if you put a link just to it?
Yeah, absolutely. I would just, if they had a name, I would just say it out loud, but we will link everything in the
problem is that we have not put in the application for protecting the name yet. So that
okay, I understand.
I need to make sure everything is...
Okay, well, so depending on when you see this, there may or may not be a link to all Lelle's stuff in the description.
Hopefully it will be link. Yeah, that will be. So,
okay. Well, good. I'm happy with this one. Since I can actually sitting face to face with you, I'll shake your hand and say thank you, Lelle.
Thank you.
And thank you, guys. Thank you for this one. See you in the next one. Peace.